It's another busy weekend ahead on the racing front, and as always, Jason Weaver's joined us to run the rule over the race in front of the ITV screens, and a little bit different if you look at the fixture list this weekend, obviously, Jason, because Haydock's fixture has been moved to Carlisle, and they've taken a silver bowl with them as well. So great that they've managed to save the meeting.
Yeah, absolutely. Some excellent racing, and I was lucky enough to be involved in a couple of Carlisle Bells. That was their sort of big race, wasn't it, for a long time? And I believe a little bit of history that we are going to have the first group race run up there. So that's absolutely fantastic, and I'm sure they'll get a decent crowd through the door as well.
Yeah, they do have a listed fillies race on the fixtures, but I think this is the first group race they will have at Carlisle, as you mentioned. Right, 9 races to look forward to as well. Actually, before we start this, you were at Yarmouth yesterday. Tom Marquand, all okay?
Yeah, fine. The strangest thing, I mean, I had Charlie Appleby ring me straight after. He wanted to know, was Tom okay immediately? And of course, he was going down to spend some time with Holly in hospital, her with that terrible fracture at the bottom of her leg at the moment. So a long time on the sidelines for her. I thought he'd got struck into momentarily, and that made him jink. But none of it. I mean, he came back absolutely clean, just one of those real, and a lot of punters on track were asking me. And what can I say other than he's 450, 500 kilos, and he has got a mind of his own. And that was it, and he wanted to do something different.
Yeah, so they did. Had no chance. They're in driving position as well. They were going for it, weren't they? So at that speed, it only takes a slight deviation. And sadly, Tom was on the deck. But yeah, best luck to him. And of course, to Holly in a recovery. Right, Carlisle, then I mentioned this, some of the races been moved from Haydock. Obviously, moved the car from Haydock, saving some from last week. Some of these in the first, the 130, were declared to run over 2 miles last week. Got a 1.5 mile handicap kicking us off at Carter the Lizzle.
And I think that is the angle in, isn't it? When the big money is on offer, people are willing to run them over a variety of distances. And the old favourites, Enemy, Claymore, Dancing in Paris, we know so much about them, don't we? And admittedly, 1 or 2 of those are probably racing over what is shorter than their optimal distance. Couldn't find any pace in here, to be honest, Matt. And Top Team is likely to go forward from stall number 13, William Buick. And that's also another thing, isn't it? The race course itself will get a lot of the jockeys that they don't normally have coming through the doors as well. So I'm sure there'll be a bumper crowd. And I think that James Doyle will just sit on his tail with opportunity. We've started off as we mean to go on with a Haggis winner early on the car. Look, he's just a low mileage improver, isn't he? And that's the angle in. We don't know where his ceiling is at the moment.
Okay, then, yeah, I wonder if that's probably not the last William Haggis runner will tip up this week. Let's have a look, though. We'll continue on at 2 o'clock over just shy of 6 furlongs on this one. And of course, those that aren't used to Carlisle, the draw can be significant.
Yeah, if you post it out a little bit deep, double digits is not good. What I will say in here is there looks like there's plenty of pace on. So there's probably going to go pretty quick. You got the likes of, I wanted to give Brose a big chance for Charlie Pike and Tom Marquand. You got Realign at the top, who gets the cheek pieces on for the first time. And if you were to go back through some of his form, he chased home Shadow of Light. So he's got some top class form in the book. 5,000 to 1, it's going to suit him, but he's posted out in 14. I'm going to have one last roll of the dice, Matt, with Jordan's Electrics, right? Now, I think he was running over the wrong trip last time up at Hamilton. He's 10. So I'm clutching a little bit, but that form of his run at headquarters was so strong early on in the season. I think he's got to be a bit of an each-way player, hasn't he?
Okay, then the 10-year-old Calvin Rodriguez on board for the first time. Then Jordan Electrics for Jason. Right, got the listed Achilles stakes then over the Flying 5. And the stiff 5 furlongs, admittedly, it is quite a climb at Carlisle. You were at Windsor when Red Orange was quite impressive, one of their qualifiers the other day.
Yeah, he absolutely dotted up, didn't he? But of course, it was the race before, which was only 4 days previous, where Ryan Moore had sort of come down there on the bridle at York and never really let him down. Rogue Lightning, I don't know what to do with him. He's threatened to be a very, very good horse, but he keeps bumping into or finding traffic problems on his way through. And I suppose the improver has got to be down the bottom. I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm not going to butcher it, but Katie Scott's runner all the way down the bottom. I think for me, Matt, if you were to strictly go on the horses that these have raced against, and he's a Breeders' Cup winner, surely Starlust, this is tailor-made for him, isn't it? You know, a stiff 5, I think, is absolutely perfect. Whenever he's on any of those quick 5 furlongs, like at Santa Anita, like at York, he finishes really, really well. And it's whether the line comes in time. Whereas I think at Carlisle, even allowing for the fact that he's been off for 347 days, this track is tailor-made for him.
Yeah, of course. Last seen that finishing 4th. Royal Ascot in the King Charles I Stakes. I'm glad you went with Starlust, and no offence to Katie Scott and the team, but it seemed to pronounce the Gaelic horse out over and over on Saturday morning. Right, then move on to the Leicester Piggott Stakes for the fillies. It's a Group 3. Surprising, William Haggis hasn't got one.
How has he not got a runner, Matt? How? What's going on? This is our sort of penalty kick, isn't it, for the year? This is when they have one in here. I thought it was interesting that Estrange is going to go. You got me into a little bit of trouble. I remember when she didn't run in the Arc, and you said she came out because she had a little bit of wide-itis, and I mentioned that. And David O'Mara came over to me at Ascot, and he said, wide-itis, right? So he let me know about it, but I laughed it off. I didn't blame you. She's going to need the rain, isn't she, to be at her best? So I worry about her under these conditions. Wardar down the bottom. Now, the 2 Goodwood wins in listed company and then in the Lily Langtree. Look, we know she stays, but I think she'll be absolutely fine back down over the 1.3 miles. And it's interesting, she's got an official rating of 107. Azania, the other one of Owen Burrows, is 110, but they're the wrong way round in the market. So Wardar, for me, must have been working well coming in.
Okay then, yeah, and got a good on her agenda. She's got good form there, as you say. Right. Great that they managed to save the Silver Bowl, one of the biggest 3-odd handicaps of the season, over the mile. Not quite a mile, but it'll feel like a mile with that stiff climb to the line. And most of these that we fancied last week go in again. But obviously the change of track, change of the way round, different distance. Has it changed your way of thinking?
And the change in the draw, isn't it? We had an absolute peach of a draw with Langstone last week. He's found himself a little bit further out on this occasion, but 12 of 16. Good jockey can overcome a bad draw. I always say that. But Laureate Crown, I know that they were very keen for him to get the job done at Haydock last week. And one of the trainers who was absolutely fizzing at Haydock, Jack Shannon, Crest of Fire, he's saying, I've had him ready for God knows how many weeks, and I'd aimed at this particular contest, and then he wasn't able to go and run his race. So, he would be one who's coming in here, but he's a pace angle, and there are probably 5 that I can see. Special Dividend, Crest of Fire, Inishbeg, Blue, Courvoisier, another one that likes to go forward along with Sir Albert. So I'm going to stick with Langstone. I was really impressed with his win at Kempton. That was over 7, steps up to the mile, and he's definitely a big physical improving type. He's going to be better as the season goes on.
Okay, then Langstone then in the Silver Bowl. Right, let's have a look at Beverley, very much to the north, the centre for the race in this week, or certainly this Saturday. Beverley got 3 races to look forward to there, a couple of juvenile contests, maybe Royal Ascot hopes in those. We start with a 10 furlong handicap at 145, only 6 set to face the starter.
Yeah, this is a funny little race, isn't it? You got Sir William, who's just about running himself into a bit of form. But if we talked about there being a strong gallop on in the big Silver Bowl, there's no pace in here whatsoever. So tactics are going to play a massive part, I think. I've sided with Urban Glimpse at the top, mainly because we haven't seen him too much recently. He doesn't mind if he can pop along up towards the top end. And then you've got other horses like Impartiality who do like to be held onto and come through late in the party. So look, the Balding PJ McDonald combination with Urban Glimpse, just because I think the race is going to be running a steady tempo, and that will suit him. He'll get out there and be galloping. That team are red hot, aren't they?
They certainly are, yeah. In Famous Silks as well, of course. Urban Glimpse in the Paul Mellon colours. Right, the Hilary Needler, Royal Ascot, maybe Queen Mary Hopes on the show here. Some fair form amongst those that have already been on the track, but interesting, the market speaking very favourably for an Archie Watson, Wathna newcomer who has an excellent berth.
Yeah, and 220,000 as a breezer. Paul Mulrennan on board, and it's actually a race, hasn't it, that the Wathnan team have done okay, whether it's one of Archie's, one of Carl Burke's. They tend to sort of launch one in here, and you're right, everybody is trying to book their ticket to the Royal Meeting. That's the key. I thought that Cody Bearlight was off the back of an easy Thirsk win. You got Moonlight Tango, who put up a gutsy performance over course and distance when winning, but again was in a bit of a head bob. And we just don't know, do we? Cosmic Mystery, James Doyle, where is he? He's up at the other meeting, and it's been left to the rest of the team. Obviously, with Holly not around now, she couldn't be there to ride the horse at Beverley either. Quite like the look of Roll the Dice Baby. Now, the horse that beat her at Goodwood has actually come out and ran pretty well in listed company at York fairly recently. So that gives Roll the Dice Baby a little bit of an angle in. And you're getting Sam Hitchcock on board. He can ride a couple of winners. He rode a winner last week at Chepstow for Adam Kirby. Because he's on board and he's not a popular rider, you're going to get a bigger price. So roll the dice, baby. Bit of experience.
Okay, roll the dice, baby. That's for the juvenile fillies, the Hilary Needler. And then we've got one for the colts as well over the Flying 5 furlongs. 10 set to go to post. Half the field already graced the winner's enclosure.
Yeah, good contest. I suppose we better sit up and take notice when Blue Pete runs in here for Mick Appleby. He decides to throw him in there straight off the bat. This is something you remember with some of the superstars that he set them off. I think, didn't they, one of the big horses get beat at Redcar on his racecourse debut and then come out and win at the Royal Meeting? So, you know, we really have to sit up, and the paddock will be all important. Don't know what you thought, but Big Cigar made a really pleasing debut up at Newcastle. Now, I know the race wasn't the strongest, if you like, but it was the way that he moved through the contest to then open up in the closing stages, and was in fact, for the new training combination, their first juvenile winner of the current season. So the fact they back him up 11 days later, that tells me that he's trying to punch his ticket to the Royal Meeting.
Okay, then, Big Cigar, yeah, for the Richard and Peter Fahey combination. Right, we've got one race on the Rudy as well at Chester to look forward to, a 7 furlong handicap. Plenty of regulars in here, plenty that know their way around the track. None more so, of course, than the horse who's won more races at Chester than anybody else, Roman Dragon. The champ's on board.
Yes, he's on board, and we get to see the owner crying and wailing afterwards. He'd be talking about how it's his life and everything else. I mean, I don't think we've seen a more emotional winner after he keeps doing it around it. It's drawn in 7. Probably going to need to get an ideal run round from there. Good bit of pace drawn down on 1 and 2. Elements of Fire for the Watson team and Lexington Jet in 2. They'll go pretty quick in the early stages. Have to say, I think Supido, though, has only been nudged up the £4 for his win around here. He's got the ideal handy position in 3. I mentioned about them 2 pace runners. Surely Billy Loughnane just gets the perfect toe in. And, all right, he might start to not look as well handicapped as he was, yet, as we know at Chester, it's about getting the ideal run round. So, Billy the Kid, and obviously had a nice juvenile winner for George Bowie the other day. Think he'd be going to the Chesham after that win at Yarmouth yesterday.
Yeah, that's what I took advantage of the Tom Marquand for, wasn't it? Nice debut effort there at Yarmouth, then a team to look forward to, but you're not named Georgia Bow. But Sapedo then for Jason at Chester. 9 races looked at. What's your best bet on Saturday?
I wanted. What price is Starlust, Matt? Where do we sit with Starlust in the sprint? I mean, look, Red Orange is probably going to take a good share of the market, isn't he? You got Rogue Lightning in there, and a couple that are probably trying to jump up a little bit higher. Where is he in the market?
Stand by your beds, and I'll try and find out for you.
Okay, sorry. I thought I'd bought you enough time there to go in. You having a little bit of David O'Mara wide-itis there with the mouse wasn't playing ball.
Yeah, internet not playing ball at all. Yeah, let's have a look for you. Starlust is around about. No, let's have a look.
Okay, well, listen, I just thought, even,
3 to 1. 3 to 1.
Oh, so I think that's a fair price. I really do think that's a fair price. I was expecting him to be a little bit shorter. He is the absolute class of the field. I know you can say it's a good starting point and blah, blah, but the Beckett horses are just starting to fire along quite nicely, aren't they? And quite a lot of those Beckett horses may well be taking higher positions for the Betfred Oaks and Derby that is just round the corner. So a team that are in really good form.
Certainly, I spoke to him myself at the Gallops morning on Tuesday ahead of the Betfred Derby Festival. And he's got big claims of landing both of those classics next week. He's already, of course, won 2 Oaks, but Starlust to get the Beckett team on form this weekend. Right, thanks to Jason then for joining us. Looking forward to those 9 races. Great that Carlisle keeping the show on the road this weekend. Of course, next time you join us, we will be at Epsom for the Betfred Derby Festival next weekend. Cannot wait for that. Best of luck whenever you're back in this weekend.